Hi, this is 365801 and this is week 2 of my 2022 reading wrap-ups. So the second week of January runs from the 10th through to the 16th, and I did read quite a bit this week, but as you can see, only one physical title, What Did You Eat Yesterday, Volume 2, which I'll talk about in a bit. I mostly read digital. The first book that I'd like to talk about is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee, which is the first book in the Montague Siblings trilogy. I have seen this, it's been on my radar for quite some time, just due to the fact that it's historical as well as being male-male romance. So I thought, brilliant, two things that I've obviously got a bit of a fancy for, but it's YA, so it's a historical adventure YA. And I haven't read a lot of YA before, so that's something that I want to do more of in 2022. So I thought this would be a good way to start, as I've had my eye on it for a while. And I did enjoy it. It was different to what I had expected. And I'm not entirely sure what I expected, but oh boy, was this an adventure. So Henry Montague, he is the oldest of the Montague siblings, called Monty, and he is embarking on his grand tour of Europe with his sister, younger sister in tow, Felicity, and his best friend Percy, who he's madly in love with. Of course, it's requited. We all know it's requited, but they don't. So that's a good fun time for us. There are so many ridiculous instances around this book. There is nakedness in Versailles. There is highwaymen. There are pirates. There's bringing people back from the dead. But there's also some really deep issues like racism and disability and sexism and PTSD from abuse and violence and bullying, and Henry is not always the most likable character. He's kind of silly and selfish, and at the same time he's cowardly and deeply in love with his best friend, and so you cannot help but just admire him for what he is, which is flawed. And I enjoyed that. There were so many instances where I was so annoyed with him and I was ready to just slap him around the face. Oh, come on, get it together, get your shit together. He really needed to get his shit together. But I did enjoy all the historical aspects of it. I enjoyed the camaraderie and the good fun that was had, and the relationships. Percy is an absolute dear. Percy is the best boy. He gets best boy badge. And Felicity is fantastic. And the way that she's just so condescending towards her brother. Like, oh, for God's sake. I really liked Felicity, which makes me want to read the next book in the series, because as a character, I thought Felicity was so much fun. Percy, an absolute joy. He's like a big Labrador you just want to hug. And Monty is probably the least likable character, and yet he's the main character that in the end you are fully on board and in support of. So I enjoyed The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. I'm not sure what I'd give it, probably 3.5. Probably a 3.5 star read. Now, before I read the second book in the series, I did read the Montague Siblings 1.5 book, The Gentleman's Guide to Getting Lucky, because by the end of the book, Monty and Percy have realised that they have mutual affection, and Monty, being the horny little dog that he is, he would very much like to consummate his relationship with Percy and have a good game of backgammon, as they said. And I just love that terminology used. Backgammon. I don't know if we can have a full game of backgammon. Percy is very innocent. Monty is definitely not. And it was a fair few pages for an extra, but it wasn't long enough to warrant the price tag that I paid on Kindle for it. It was like £4 something for this little extra short, and it just felt like it was way too expensive for what happened, because honestly I'm like, did they really get down to it? Because it felt like for a long time this was just fits and starts, and they didn't really manage it. Basically, this is the little, like, it's like the 5th chapter in a manga at the end where they actually have sex. This is the extra chapter, but then you have to pay this extra chapter, and it's like, I don't know. It was a fun little extra, but it didn't feel long enough to warrant the price tag, but it was too long to just be an extra chapter that she could give away for free. So yeah, I kind of felt like I was just getting paid, having to pay go through the paywall to get the porn. This is what it felt like. So yeah, it was fine, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. It was only okay. The sex was only okay for this YA. Now, after last week, I had read How to Train an Impatient Dog, but I really wanted to read a bit more on Futekia, so I decided to do a sort of reading vlog for my buzzwords. I ended up reading Where That Love Went by Mitsuki Emi. This was more weird than it had first appeared to be, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. If you'd like to know my thoughts a little bit more, go and check out that vlog. I'll put a link in the description or in the corner above. I then went on to read, what did I read? When We Were in the Rose Forest by Kumota Haruko. That was delightful, as you would imagine. It's Kumota Haruko, so of course her drawings are beautiful. I really do like her BL work, but then it just makes me think all of her work is then BL. But what I especially liked was reading Dame BL. That particular chapter was probably my favourite, just because it was kind of sexy and a bit sneaky of the high heels wearing guy, but also the vampire story is just like yeah, when death is involved, that's kind of a thing. Anyway, I won't say more about it, you can watch the vlog. I read When You Are Full of Regrets, which was a weird school teacher based one. This is by Senmitsu. I'm not sure how I felt about this one. It was fun and interesting and weird and kind of it had a tension to it, like an atmosphere that made me uncomfortable, and yet at the same time I quite enjoyed it, that feeling of discomfort inside. Yeah, this was an interesting one as well. I then read What's Under His Clothes is Outrageous. This is by Nakolat, and I hated it. 1 star. Terrible. I should maybe have said what the other ones were. Yeah, this was not one that I enjoyed at all. It was weird, and I didn't like the art style. Then When That Day Comes by Ayu Yamane, and I always think, I look at it and I think I don't like the art style, and then I read the stories and I actually really enjoy them. They're really interesting. I didn't think I would like the student in the end, but I liked the student in the end. It was good. It was just a cute wee one story. When I See Your Face, I Can't Hold Back. This had 2 stories in it, and the first one was mainly just sex. But the second one was about a god, and I'm gonna love it. Anything to do with magic and folklore and gods and spirits and things like that, and I'm like, yes. So yeah, that one was one that I really enjoyed, this little extra about the god and his sex slave, I suppose. That was really interesting. I then read Why Don't We Start Sharing for Now. This is by Kanbei Akira. I am not really a huge fan of Kanbei Akira and their work. I do own a lot of their work, but not really a fan of it. And this was a 2-volume wasn't just the one, it was a 2-volume series, which was weird. It was weird. The whole cross-dressing thing, I feel like Japan doesn't necessarily do that great in terms of modern sensibilities. At least no derogatory language, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, was used, and that's kind of what I was on the lookout for, because something that's almost 10 years old, you're on the lookout for derogatory language. But I'm glad to see that. Like, I was like vaguely aware, like, am I gonna come across a term that I'm gonna be like, ugh, yeet, and I didn't. So that was good. On to my other Vitekia reads, which I read on the Friday when my vlog came out. Thanks if you watched my vlog. You can go check it out if you're interested. But Friday was like the day that some things were released that we're all in love with. Beast Storm, Hug My Baby. And oh man, I should have vlogged my response to reading this because, oh, it was awesome. I love Beast Storm so much. So much. Mori Kuroi, chef's kiss, she knows what she's doing. This is brilliant because it has everything I like. It has Mpreg, which I know some people are just like, ugh, no, Mpreg. It has family dynamics because of Mpreg. There's little babies. It has cute babies. It has little families. It's so cute. Then it has animal characteristics. Yes, double ears is something I feel very weird about, but in Beast Storm, I'm 100% in support of the double ear thing going on. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And then we got introduced to some new characters in this volume. Hug Me Baby. It was the lovely sister who has a very cute little child on her own. Loved her. We also got a little bit more spiciness between the nurse and the non-eared doctor, because those two are definitely having a relationship or some kind of flirtation with all of that sexual tension and arguing going on. Don't tell me it's not happening. I can see it. I feel it. Where's their story? I need to read that one too. And then we got introduced to something I love so much. Old men romance. Yes! I cannot wait for the next volume of this. This better be on Vitekia, because old man romance, Oji-san romance, Osan romance. Mwah! I love it so much. It just heals my soul. There's something so soft about old men being in love and feeling like love. Oh, especially for each other. It's like, oh, so cute. I don't know what it is, but Sogo's dad getting introduced and him being fine as fuck. And obviously he's going to be able to be like, that's what you're going to look like when you're older. That's okay with me. And then the other soft man who got introduced, and you're just like, yes, I see it. I see the connection. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the next volume. I love this one so much. This is like by far the best thing this whole week. I'm like, yes. Should have seen me. I was up and down, out my seat going, yay, every 2 seconds. I love this volume so much. But because I was on a roll about the animal characteristics, I thought I would click on Fox Colored Jealousy, which is the other new one that was released on Friday, because Futeki are just giving me all the stuff that I love. So more animal characteristics and more sort of like Japanese mythical beings and things. So this one is like the kitsune has kind of taken over the soul of this boy. It's just been passed down in generations. One of their ancestors did some naughty shit. The kitsune's like, right, we're going to inhabit your souls from now on. So he can kind of half turn into a fox with ears and a tail, and the fox kind of takes over his body and so does naughty things and gets him into trouble, almost dangerous trouble. And he ends up moving to the city to go to college or university, and he's going to live with some distant relatives who live at a temple or shrine, and he's going to hopefully get some help to deal with this kitsune fox that inhabits his soul and makes trouble for him. And he ends up meeting the second son of the family, and he is beloved of animals. Like, that was kind of glossed over, like, oh, animals have always loved you, right? And you're just like, what? This whole family, did they not think to look into that? Is that not something, like, that's a bit weird to me. I'm like, you didn't even, like, nothing's been done? There's no been, like, that much love and affection for other animals towards your child? is weird. But I loved it because obviously the kitsune was like, I love you, and so the boy's like, damn it, I'm gonna have to love you too. It was just a cute story. It was just lovely. This is by Machi Suehiro, and I think I would like to read more of their work because this was just delightful. I had a really great Friday reading lovely things. I then read something else because I was like, oh, I wonder if there's any more animal characteristics. See, I just went to the tag. I'm just a tag reader. And I went and I found 100 Million Man by Hino Akimitsu, or Akimitu. There's no tu there, so I don't know why they chose not to have the s in that sound. Anyway, that was fucking weird. I ended on a bit of a dud note, but I have to say, for the 100 Million Man, this was probably more like a 2.5 star, whereas Fox Color Jealousy I really enjoyed, so probably a 4 star. And obviously Beast Storm is 5 out of 5, 100% all the way. Love it. So the 100 Million Man is about a guy who's rich and he falls in love with this guy, and it's a comedy, it's a sex comedy, and it's also full of nonsense. And sex comedies either are hit or miss, even by page from page. And so there's a lot that I did not like about it, but I still read the whole thing. There's one particular panel where there's a guy who's supposed to be an old man who's not really an old man. Like, keep with me. Stay with me. I'll get to that. So he's an old man, but he's not really an old man. He's a magician. And he's making dinner, and he's in a full suit with the apron on. And then the hamster that's now a man, who's still called Hamu, he wants to have sex with the old man who's not an old man. And so he rubs up behind him, and in the very next panel, they're in the exact same position, except the old man's clothes are away, except he's still wearing the apron. I laughed so hard at that panel. Because, and the thing is, they did address it, and I think it would have been even funnier if they just had left it and not said anything about, oh, I can't believe you took my clothes off so well. It's like, what the hell? But honestly, if they just hadn't said anything, I would have probably laughed just as much, because that was so stupid. And that's the thing about sex comedies. They're stupid. They're like fart jokes, you know? You can sometimes laugh at them, and sometimes you're like, that's just crass. And that's kind of what 100 Million Man is. It's stupid. It does have 5 spicy chilies. I do not find it spicy at all because it's a sex comedy. So the sex was just there for, like, comedic purposes. So it's not spicy. It's just stupid. Like them being turned into hamsters, and then people, and then hamsters, and people, and hamsters, and people. Or, oh, I don't know. I'm not going to go through all the funny jokes that aren't necessarily funny. And yeah, I read the whole thing. So yeah, Futekia was a good week. That was quite a lot from reading Futekia this week. So I think it was 10 different titles, but 11 volumes, because it was a double volume for that Kanbei Akira one. So that leaves the final volume that I read this week. I read it Sunday 16th, and that is volume 2 of What Did You Eat Yesterday by Fumi Yoshinaga. I read volume 1 last week. I will probably read volume 3 the coming week, and maybe just continue on with the series as long as I'm reading a volume a week, because it's taking my time and I'm enjoying it. This second volume, we got a little bit more information about how the two of them met. Shiro had not really gone to Nichome, and he ended up going with an ex-boyfriend and meeting Kenji there, and then how they kind of just fell into a relationship together. So I just love Shiro's so narcissistic, and in a way he's also like not what the gays want. I did like learning a little bit more about the other worker who works at his law firm, and how she's just a young thing, but she dresses in all the clothes of her mother because they don't have a lot of money. So she looks like an older lady, maybe in her 30s, but she is actually just like 20. It said specifically She does a French twist. She's economizing on salon expenses, and this is all she can do herself. Her clothes are hand-me-downs from her mum. Her bag is a hand-me-down from her mum, and the shoes were the only thing that she has that's her own. And the fact that Shiro is just so annoyed that she seems to be able to eat whatever she wants without going to the gym and working out, and then he finds out that she's like 20, and he's like, oh, thank God. Because he's like a 40-something-year-old man, and he felt like he was competing with her in some weird way because she gets to eat fried chicken and he doesn't. He's so obsessed with economizing, and I love it. I love it because, you know, every time he's in the supermarket and he's talking about the prices of things, I'm like there with him. I have been in that situation. I'm like, oh, I can make this and make this. Well, that's too expensive. And oh, I can't believe how much this costs. And oh, do I have enough of this in the house? I'm so 100% there with him. The one thing that I was like, whoa, I did not expect that. Nobuhiko, his ex-boyfriend, the way he talked to him, I'd have been like, get the fuck out of my house, dude. But then he turned around with the cat, and I was like, okay, I kind of understand. you fall in love with the cat, not the man. But I just love little things like how he looks at Kenji and is like, he's so not my type. And then in the next panel, the very next panel, it says, I'm so lucky to have met him. And it's like, oh, this is like a warm hug. It really is so sweet and gentle and unassuming and so full of delicious recipes, and I want to cook them all. I would absolutely love to just get all the ingredients and make all the food. And it does just inspire me to, I want to make a lasagna now. Maybe I'll show you guys if I make a lasagna. I'll like take a picture. It's not going to be as good as that, but I do want to make a spinach one now. I really do. It's got cheese and tomatoes and onions, and I'm not supposed to eat any of them. It's got probably beef, and I'm not supposed to eat any of that. But I do want to make lasagna. So yeah, what did you eat yesterday? Volume 2. I will look forward to more of this. I didn't read any of your book Boyfriend's Boyfriend this week. So I'll have to pick up a few next week. I wonder if there's any that fit with the buzzwords for January. And I'll have a wee look and see if I can find any. I did find out that there is a new audiobook version of Charlie Sunshine from the Close Proximity series that I did a review of. I'll put a link in the corner. And I'm like, oh no, more money to spend. I don't want to. On an audiobook that I really want to, because it's Joel Leslie and I know he's going to do a great job. Oh, and I literally just read it. I just read it in what? November, December. I don't need to reread it in January. I don't need to. So I'm gonna hold off on that. Anyway, this is everything that I read. I think it was like 14 volumes over the week, which is actually a lot. So next week I'm gonna try and reduce it down. I'm gonna do some more Futekia reads, but I'm also gonna try and just cut down on some other things as well. So very, very light reading for next week, hopefully, fingers crossed. And hopefully this is a shorter video than last week. Fingers crossed. So I'm 365801. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of this video. I make videos about BL romance, yaoi, BL manga, and all that good stuff. Every day is BL day. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want, comments down below if you've read any of these. I'd love to know your thoughts. And take care everyone. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!